Okay, greetings. My name is Steve Gerald Davis Jr. I want to give an encouraging word, food for thought, something to consider in reference to truth. The Bible teaches in its Proverbs that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord, understanding of God's significance over our inadequacy, how God is in all things, and His Word is a witness that is manifested in all things. That is a strength that is signature to God. He said to be the Son. How do we have access into that strength? Because in that strength is righteousness. In that strength is truth. In that strength is mercy. In that strength is grace. How do we have access into that strength? You understand, the kingdom truly is like a flow. It's articulated all throughout the scriptures. You will be like a tree planted by the rivers of living water. What are those rivers of living water? It is the moves of the kingdom. In our roots, when they are in the flow, are in that move of the Spirit. That's that foundation. See, the beginning of a thing establishes the blossom and the maturation and the fruition. That's significant. That is significant. So I want us to consider, what is our entry point into that flow? What is our entry point into that strength? What is the entry point into that stream, not only of perfect peace, which is simply a mature, whole understanding. See, you can have a clarity of vision and you can have an obscurity of understanding. But perfect peace makes whole the experience. Perfect peace takes all the broken pieces and doesn't ignore it being broken, but it considers the whole spectrum. And in the whole spectrum, weakness is not disqualified, but it is qualified to be a part of the artistic wonder that is our life. Because truly it is in His strength that our weakness is made perfect. So what is our entry into this strength? What is our entry into this stream? Again, significantly, humility, the honor towards mercy. Says the Lord. The honor towards mercy as being the high-arcing influence that not only governs our lives but also the world. When we understand that significantly and truthfully, then our handling one of another becomes radically altered, because we all understand that there is a mercy that secures, that empowers, that empowers for the sake of righteousness and truth. The prophetic witness instructed the prophet Micah to love mercy, to do justice, and to walk humbly before his God. Now, we cannot walk in love when we have not first understood that we are loved. The Apostle John said it artfully. It's not that we first loved God, but our covering begins in the knowledge that His love was always present for us. The knowledge of God is apprehended in the heart. The only way we can apprehend what we cannot see, being humble enough to believe. To believe. See, humility brings in opportunity to believe. Humility towards God, not towards man, because man will exploit your humility. Man will exploit your humbleness to acquiesce to its will, but when you are humble before God, before flesh, to the wind I'm speaking, that which moves what is weak, but you can't see it. When we are humble towards the truth in His love, how are we then showing love to God when we do it to the least of these? When the least of these are shown mercy, then we are doing it unto God. Because God is spirit. How can we show our devotion to what is spiritual? But by showing it that towards which it is spiritual is made manifest in the least of these. In the least of these, we see one another. If we see our weakness not in fear, but in understanding that our weakness qualifies us to be the least of these. I said, when you understand the nature of your weakness, it qualifies you to be the least of these. He shitted about Messiah. When you understand your weakness, you understand that truly without him, we are always the least of these. He is only the one who can take that which is the least and make it the greatest of all. How is he able to do this? What can the least of these do to merit this great grace? That's why it is by grace, through faith. Because grace can be freely given, but if we don't have the faith to believe it, what good is it? We can have access at all things, but if we don't believe it, what good is that access? Understand today by faith that we have access into the strength that is in God when we believe that he loves us. Not because we do right or because we do wrong. He loves us because he sees us. And in his sight towards us, he has a zeal for us to see us as he sees us. And as we grow in the knowledge of the truth, we blossom and mature in the awareness of ourselves. As we blossom and mature in the awareness of ourselves, we ultimately should be also blossoming and maturing into the knowledge of who God is. Because we understand that our truth is established in him. When we grow up in truth, ultimately we're growing up in God. It ain't doctrine that I'm teaching. It is the prophetic word that is the true testimony of Jesus Christ, uttered out of a strength that can only be in grace. It is to the strength of God's grace that the scriptures speak to. It is the strength of God's grace that religion ultimately should always give voice towards, as an indication towards, never becoming the substance thereof, but always becoming a form that is an indication of. The tabernacle that could be built with hands was never the substance thereof. It was always an indication and an indicator of what was to come. The awareness of Christ in you, in your frame, in your shoulders, the government to rule your household. Your heart rests upon your shoulders. When you understand that about you, then you can understand the tabernacle a whole lot more clearer. But if all we can see is the tabernacle, if that's only our hope, to run to that towards is the indication of, will we ever get to see the truth in us, the hope of glory. What is that hope? Hope of the manifestation of God working in my weakness. If I'm always looking outside myself, I'm never understanding that he wants to first establish it within me. He said it's in the heart. It's in the heart that the kingdom of righteousness reigns. And when it reigns in your heart, you ultimately find your place in God. And when you find your place in God, you will find its manifestation in the earth. We all want to find our purpose, but I tell you with surety, that place begins in the fear of the Lord. Be blessed, be greatly encouraged. The day still remains.